guys, welcome back to another workout. Today I'm going to be going through a workout for our thighs, particularly our inner thighs and the backs of our legs, our hamstrings and our triceps, or the backs of our arms. Full body, a little bit of core as well. For my props, I have got 2 medium dumbbells. I've got 3 kg weights. If you don't have dumbbells, don't worry, just leave them out, or if you'd rather just focus on the legs today, that's totally fine as well. You don't need the dumbbells, just an option. So for our warm-up, let's get started. You're going to put all of your springs on your machine, so all of your springs, and then you're going to take off 1 spring. So your easier option, you're going to take off your 1 medium spring, so for you that might be a blue spring. Your harder option, instead of taking off that medium spring, you're going to take off your lightest spring. So take off either the medium spring for an easier option, or take off your lighter spring for your harder option. You're going to take a lie down on your carriage, shoulders against your shoulder blocks, and bring your heels up to your foot bar. You're going to find your Pilates V with your feet. So heels are together, toes are splayed out to the outsides of the rim like a penguin. And then your knees will naturally fall out a little bit to the sides as well. A nice deep inhale breath to prepare. And as you exhale, you're going to press through those heels. Push that carriage all the way to the top. Those knees will come together. And then inhale breath nice and slow with control. We draw that carriage back in. So it should feel quite heavy here. Exhale, press away. Those knees come together. Keep those heels touching if you can. Inhale, draw that carriage down, watch those knees come back out to the sides of the room. So we should be warming up through the inner thighs here. Keep moving like this. Exhale to press away. And inhale to draw that carriage all the way in. Give me a couple more full reps like this. Just noticing how your body is feeling today. Keeping that tailbone nice and heavy on your carriage. Neutral spine, so a little pocket of air underneath that lower back. Good, you're going to give me 1 more press to the top, so exhale, let's push that carriage away. And switching up our movement pattern here this time, inhale, draw that carriage in to find heavy halfway. Let's pause that carriage there. We're going to take those knees together, tap them at the middle, open those knees back wide, and then press through the heels to the top. Go again. Inhale, find halfway. Knees tap together at the middle. Open those knees wide, and then press that carriage away. So don't let that carriage move as you bring those knees into touch. And open. You've got 4 more like this. Should be feeling this through the inner thighs now. 3 more. 2 more. Try and limit that rest you get at the top. 1 more. Press away. We're going to take an extra long moment at the top, and then when you're ready, we're going to find halfway and hold there. So inhale, draw that carriage in. Find the heaviest point of your movement. You're just going to keep working through those knees. Close, tap those knees together, and open. Keep that carriage still. You're here for 6. Keep breathing normally for 5. Digging those heels into that foot bar for 4. For 3, lower core switches on here for 2. On 1, bring those knees apart. Hold it here. Can we pulse up? And down. Last 6, up and down. Pressing through those heels, really tiny movements here for 4. For 3, keep breathing, tailbone heavy for 2. And on 1, press through those heels to the top. Nice. You can slowly move your feet down on that foot bar. And give me a little prancer here, just to stretch through the backs of those legs. So lowering 1 heel down underneath that foot bar. Bending through the opposite knee, and then switching. Nice. Finish that one that you're on. And then bring that carriage all the way down. You can bring your heels nice and wide on that foot bar, and let's go for a little windshield wiper stretch. So lowering your knees down to one side of the room. If it feels nice, you can turn your head to look to the opposite side of the room. Just feeling a nice release through that lower back. I'm already sweaty. We're going to bring those knees to the opposite side of the room, and then turn your head to the other side as well. And then coming back through center. For your next exercise, we're going to start warming up through the core and warming up down the backs of the arms. So let's change our springs here. You're going to go one heavy spring plus one light spring. So for you, that might be a red and a yellow, or maybe a red and a blue if you want something a little harder. You're going to take a lie back down on your carriage once you've got those springs on. This time shuffling yourself slightly away from those shoulder blocks. So you've got a bit of space there, feet on that foot bar, and then you're going to reach behind you for your large loops. Mine has fallen onto the floor. So reach behind you for those short loops, and you're going to place each of your hands in those loops. So then you're going to bring your elbows down to that carriage. You've got a 90-degree bend in those arms. So fingertips are going to reach up for that ceiling. Keeping that same angle through your arms, can we float those legs to tabletop, knees above hips, shins parallel to the floor. Already switching on through that core. And then all you're going to do is start to lift that left arm up towards that ceiling. And then inhale, draw that elbow back down to that carriage. Exhale, right arm lifts. And inhale to lower it down. Try resist those straps, pulling your arms back towards your face. So those straps are going to want to pull those arms back as best as you can. I want you to think about keeping those straps at the same length. And if you're feeling good here, we can add on that leg extension. So the next time that left arm lifts, hold it there. Your right leg extends out long towards that foot bar. Right knee draws to tabletop, and then your left arm returns. Other side, right arm lifts, hold it there. Left leg, so opposite leg extends. Left leg draws to tabletop, and then return that right arm down. You can keep moving like this. Should be feeling this through the backs of the arms. If you're not, keep those straps nice and tight towards that foot bar. Beautiful. Not letting that lower back arch as you go for that leg extension, so make sure you're staying in that neutral spine. And then if anyone would like to take that double leg option, you're so welcome. So maybe the next time that right arm lifts, hold it there. Both legs extend, draw them back, and then right arm returns. Keep moving those straps back to that 90-degree angle. Good. Give me 4 more. So try that double leg extension if you haven't already. One more on each side. Remember to breathe here, so easy to forget to breathe in these core exercises. And then making this your last one. Nice, tap those feet down to that foot bar. Take a quick little reset here. A little break for those arms. And then what you're going to do, elbows are going to stay down on that carriage, but can you swap your palms? So those palms face that foot bar. And then once you're ready, you're going to draw those knees back to tabletop, and we switch up that movement pattern. So this time, exhale, press your arms, press those palms down towards that carriage, tricep extension. And then inhale, bend those elbows back to 90 degrees. Exhale, tricep extension, squeeze the backs of the arms. And inhale back to 90 degrees. So again, you're not letting those straps pull your hands too far back. You're trying to just return to that 90-degree bend. And then exhale to press them back. If you're feeling good, add on that leg extension, either single or double leg extension, whatever you were doing before. So tricep extension, leg extension, back to tabletop or high round, and then return. Gorgeous, keep pulling that belly button to spine. Nice. Nice deep breaths. Give me 5 here. If this is getting a little bit much for the arms, you can swap into those large loops. Good, for 3. Try that double leg extension if you haven't already. Just make sure that lower back isn't arching off your carriage for 2. And making this your last one. Nice. Take a quick little breather. And then we're going to go for our last rep. So exhale, tricep extension. You're going to send those legs long. Now you're just going to send them as long as you can manage to keep that neutral spine. So your legs might be all the way to the ceiling, that's fine. They might be all the way down to that foot bar. Take them somewhere you can hold that little pocket of air underneath your lower back, and we're just going to hold here to finish. If you've got anything left in the tank, you can start to scissor kick those legs over and over. Keep squeezing the backs of the arms, pulling those straps down towards that mirror. Beautiful. We're just here for 10. Pulling that belly button to our spine for 9. Keep breathing for 8. Can you get those legs a little lower? Nice job for 6. For 5. A little lower for 4. For 3. For 2. And on 1. Bring those knees in. Return those straps. Large loops can go back over those posts. Nice, so hopefully a little bit warm through the backs of the arms there. I've got one last little core exercise to go before we move on to our lower body, our thighs. So for this one, you're going to take all of your springs off your machine, so no springs on your carriage. Just being very mindful as you move from now on that this carriage is going to be super unstable. And then you're going to bring your hands down to that carriage about halfway or in the middle of that carriage. Keeping your shoulders over your wrists, we step our feet back behind us to find our plank position. So again, double check, shoulders over wrists, one long straight line from the top of your head to your heels. So not letting that bum come up too high, not letting that lower back sag. We're holding in our plank position. If we're feeling good, we can start to walk our feet, to walk that carriage to the top of our machine. You take it nice and slow. Again, remember we're on that no spring option, so carriage is super light here. And then we're slowly going to walk it back. Walk that carriage to the top. Should take 3 to 4 counts to reach the top. And slowly walk that carriage back. Double check that as you're walking, your shoulders aren't coming back. So make sure your shoulders are staying directly over those wrists. And then if you're feeling good, extra little challenge for those triceps, you reach one end of that carriage. Give me a little tricep push-up. Can be a really small bend through those elbows. Press back up, and then walk to the top. A little tricep push-up here, and then walk to the top. Nice job. If that tricep push-up isn't there for you, you can go 2 mountain climbers instead. So each time you get to the top, knee draws to elbow, knee draws to elbow, and then walk down to the other side. So your choice. Nice job. You're here for about 30 more seconds. So keep breathing nice and steadily. As you go for that tricep push-up, keeping those elbows nice and narrow. Good job. And then the next time, you walk all the way back to your start position, so all the way back to that stopper. Can we pause here? You can take a quick little breather if you need, it'll roll out for those wrists. And then for our last little plank hold, you're either holding in that elevated plank, so hands on that carriage. If you'd like something a bit more challenging, bring your forearms down to that carriage, find your plank position, and we're just going to hold it here. If it's there for you, you can add in those mountain climbers. So knee draws up towards your elbow, knee draws up towards your elbow. Keep tucking your tailbone under. Nice. Moving nice and slow, so as not to move that carriage too much. Keep breathing here for 10. Nice. Pull that knee in. Are your hips still down? And not letting those hips come up. For 7. Good job. For 5. 4. 3, 2, and 1. You can carefully come up. Nice job. A little forward fold if that feels nice. A little rock from side to side. And rolling up. Roll those shoulders. A quick little stretch for those triceps. Beautiful. We have lower body. So we're going to work through our hamstrings first of all. So don't need any equipment for this one. You're going to come to the left side of your machine facing forwards. So your carriage is on your right. Your left foot is nice and close to your machine, just down on the floor. And then use that foot bar to support you to bring your right knee to that carriage. Your toes can just be tucked against that shoulder block. So your right knee is down, which means you'll probably have a small little bend through that left knee. You can bring your hands to your hips, just again keeping in mind you're on that light spring. And from here, take all of your weight through your left heel. So your right knee is just there for balance. All of your weight is through your left heel. On your inhale breath, can we start to bend a little deeper into that left knee? Dive that chest forward, send that carriage away long. Find your Shin lunge. And then as you exhale, you're going to press through that left heel. Squeeze through that left hamstring to drag that carriage back in, all the way to the top. Go again when you're ready. So inhale, send that carriage away, almost like you're going into the splits. And then exhale, dig through that left heel to rise. So on this next one, can we think into that left knee? Just making sure it stays about directly above our left ankle. So not letting that left knee come too far forward or too far back here. Inhale to sink down. And exhale, dig through that heel, squeeze through that hamstring to rise. Nice. So I've got a few little layers here to make this more challenging. First little layer, you can bring your fingertips to your temples. Elbows come nice and wide. This is going to take a little bit more weight over that front thigh and work a little bit more into your balance. If you're feeling good here, you can add a little rotation at the bottom of your next one. So we sink down, find our lunge, we pause here, brace through that belly for stability. You're going to take a little rotation with that upper body over towards your left. Come back through center, and then we dig through that heel, drag that carriage in. Ooh, so that little bit more time under tension really gets into that hamstring. If it gets too much, just come back to that base movement. Nice. So it can just be a really small rotation. Doesn't need to be super big. And then if anyone would like just an extra little burn for our last few reps, on your next one, you're going to go for that rotation and then come back through center. From here, stay low. Your left heel is going to peel up off that floor, place it back down, and then you dig through that heel to rise. Whew, so just having that little heel lift and lower. For our last 4 here, find that lunge, 1 rotation, heel lifts, heel lowers, and then we rise tall. Last 3. I'm beginning to shake at the bottom. Little rotation, heel lift and lower, and then dig through that heel. You've just got 2 more. Slide that carriage away, making sure that chest is forward over that front thigh so we're not too upright. And then you've got 1 final rep. Send that carriage away, rotation, you'll lift and lower if that's there for you, and then we rise up tall. Take a quick little step out of those feet before we come down into our little finisher. Maybe a little massage out for that hammy. And then we're going to come down into our little hold at the bottom. So your more supportive option, hands to hips, more challenging option, fingertips to temples. From here, can we sink down, find the bottom of your lunge, and we hold it here. Just that rotation. So you're going to rotate to the left, come back through center. You're here for 4. If this isn't there for you, you're just going to hold in that lunge for 3, for 2, 1 more. Come back through center. We pause here. Can you go for that heel lift? Heel lower. Heel lift. Heel lower for 4. If it gets too much, 2 fingers on that foot bar for 3. Brace through that belly for 2. Lift that heel 1 final time and hold it here. If there's anything left in the tank, little pulses back and back for 4. For 3, lift that heel higher for 2. And on 1, heel comes down. Come all the way in, so good. So both hands on that foot bar. Let's take a quick stretch here. So again, mindful you're on that light spring, so please keep a hold of that foot bar. You can straighten out that left leg, sit back down on that right heel, and just slowly start to slide that carriage out and then just to stretch through the back of that left hamstring. Nice. Alright, we have our second lower body set to go. Getting back into those inner thighs that we warmed up in our warm-up. This is where I'm going to use my dumbbells. But again, if you don't have dumbbells or if you'd rather not, I understand that, you can leave them out. We're going to pop our foot bar down here, so just so it's out of the way. And I'm going to be staying on no springs. However, if you would like something a little bit more supportive, you can pop 1 light spring on. So maybe a yellow spring. From here, pop those dumbbells down. Make sure that carriage is in. Left knee is going to come to your left side, so the solid platform. And then carefully, you're going to bring your right knee to that right side, that moving carriage. So mindful that that carriage is on a super light spring or no springs, so just be really careful here. Grab those dumbbells and come up to high kneel. You can bring those dumbbells to your collarbones and keeping your weight even through your knees. On your inhale, start to slide that carriage away, keep that tailbone tucked under, and then exhale to drag that carriage in. So take it super easy for the first few reps, especially if you're on no springs. It's really easy to overdo this one. So please keep in control of that carriage through the whole movement. Not going out so far that you lose control of that carriage. Inhale, slide away. And then exhale, pull through those inner thighs to drag that carriage in. Inhale, slide away. And exhale, engage those inner thighs to draw that carriage in. If you're feeling good, the next time we slide that carriage out, hold. 1 shoulder press. We're going to squeeze those dumbbells together overhead. Keeping those elbows nice and narrow, we're going to lower those dumbbells behind our skull. Tricep extension, press them overhead, and then return those dumbbells to collarbones before we draw that carriage in. So it's quite a lot of time under tension. Slide that carriage out, hold. Carriage stays still as you shoulder press. Tricep extension. Return those dumbbells, and then squeeze that carriage in. and you give me about 6 here. So challenge is to keep that carriage still. Nice, 5 here. As you go for that tricep extension, we keep those elbows as close to our ears as we can. So not letting those elbows splay out to the sides of the room. Last 4. Nice. Again, it's not about that range. It's about moving super slowly and trying your best to keep that carriage still. So don't worry if you're not getting out super far, particularly if you're on no springs. Damn, I've lost count, but let's do 2 more. Slide that carriage away. Press. Tricep extension down and up. Squeeze that carriage in, just 1 more. Out. Press. Down. And up. Dumbbells return. And then squeeze that carriage in. Whew. Take a little shoulder roll here. We're going to come in to our final little finisher for the side of our legs. So let's scoop that tailbone under a little further. Dumbbells back to our collarbones. I want you to slide that carriage out. Find a position you can maintain. So it might not be as far as you were going out before. Find somewhere you can just hold that carriage nice and still. We press those dumbbells overhead, and you're just going to go for your tricep extension. So lowering those dumbbells behind your skull, and then keep your elbows narrow as you press overhead. That carriage stays nice and still. So squeeze those inner thighs. Good, for 5. Use that breath. For 4. Exhale to extend for 3. Inhale to lower for 2. On 1, you're going to lower those dumbbells behind the base of your skull. And then as you pulse those dumbbells up an inch, you're going to pulse that carriage in an inch. Lower those dumbbells an inch, pulse that carriage out an inch. Carriage in, dumbbells lift. Carriage out, dumbbells lower. Yeah, for 5. Good, for 4. Elbows are narrow for 3. For 2. And on 1, you can press those dumbbells overhead, bring that carriage all the way in. Good job. Dumbbells back on that carriage and stopper. Step backwards. You can bring your hands down to that carriage. Legs come nice and wide. And then bend into one knee. And then the other knee to stretch in to your inner thighs. Nice. All right, shall we come into just a little bit of upper body before we do the other side of those legs. So pop those dumbbells to one side, we'll use them a bit later. You can pop 1 medium spring on now. So for you that might be a blue spring, or whatever you know you prefer for some double arm work. We're going to be working, of course, the backs of the arms. So take a kneel position on your carriage. Knees against those shoulder blocks. Sit down on your heels to start off. And you're going to reach for those short loops again. So you're going to slide your hand into those short loops so that your little finger is facing the mirror, your palms face your thighs. And then bracing through the belly, nice and slowly, come to a high kneel. So moving super slowly here. To exhale, sweep the arms back, squeezing the backs of the arms, and inhale to return those hands just in line with your thighs. Exhale, sweep those arms back, little pause, and inhale, hands in line with your thighs. So we're not using any momentum here, we're moving super slow. Just be mindful that in this position, there is a little bit of a risk of face planting. So don't move those straps too quickly. We always have tension on those ropes. Exhale, squeeze the backs of the arms, pinky fingers to the foot bar, and then inhale, return. So you've got large loops there as your friendlier option if you'd like them. If you want more, You can walk your hands up and grab those knots and keep moving from there. Give me 6 more. Exhale, sweep those arms back. Little pause at your end range if you can. And inhale, return. Exhale, sweep those arms back. Little pause. And inhale, return. Good job. 3 more here. If this gets too much in high kneel, you can bring your bum down to your heels as well. You've just got 2 more. Nice. On your last one, we're going to hold. So exhale, sweep those arms back. Find your end range, pause. Don't let those arms move. You're going to sink your bum to your heels, dive that chest forward here. So hovering your bum off your heels. And then locking your elbows into your side body. You're going to bend those forearms forward, grasping those straps with your fists. Exhale, pull those straps back, tricep extension. So really getting into the backs of the arms today. Inhale, bend those elbows, and exhale, sweep them back. So notice the rest of my body is completely still. I'm not letting those elbows move forward. All of the movement is in our forearms. Inhale, bend at the elbows. Exhale, sweep those arms back. Squeezing through the backs of the arms. Give me 6 more here. Again, grab those knots if you want more. Grab those large loops if you want less. Nice. 4. Little squeeze at the top each time you get there. 3. Good. Use that breath. Exhale, sweep them back. For 2. On your last one, sweep those arms back, find your end range. We hold it here just to hold to finish. If you've got anything left in the tank, we can pulse those arms back and back. Nice for 5. Nearly there, brace through the belly for 4. Squeeze the backs of the arms for 3. Get a little higher for 2. And give me 1 more pulse before you come all the way in. Those large legs go away. Take a nice big shoulder roll. Interlace those hands in front of you. Take a little stretch here for that back. A couple of deep belly breaths. And then we can stretch out those triceps. You're going to bring one elbow to the ceiling. You can either grab onto that elbow just to deepen that stretch, or if you can reach that opposite hand behind your back, grab onto those fingers for a little tricep stretch. Couple of deep breaths here, and then swap it on over. Other elbow to the ceiling, either grab that elbow or reach for those fingers behind you. Nice. We do have the other side of our legs to go. So, grab yourself a little drink or whatever you need to hype yourself up here. We're going to come off to the right side of our machine now. So, we're facing that foot bar. Our carriage is to our left. You're going to take that spring off. So, we're back to no springs. Right foot is nice and close to your carriage. And your left knee is going to rest down on your machine. Hands to hips. If you did need that foot bar for support, of course, bring it up now, just in case you needed those 2 fingers there, otherwise it can stay down. So right heel is nice and heavy. You're going to dive your chest forward over that front thigh, send that carriage away back behind you. And exhale, dig through that right heel, squeeze through that right hamstring to rise. Inhale, slide that carriage away, chest is forward. And exhale to rise. So let's check our form at the bottom of our next one. Find your lunge pause. First of all, check your knee is above your ankle. And second of all, think about being in a straight line from the top of your head all the way down to your hips to that back knee. Exhale, draw that carriage in. Nice. So you can take as long as you need each time you get to the top. Remember, we've already done 2/3 of a class. You might need a little bit more rest for this side. Be kind to yourself. And join back in for that next rep when you're ready. The first little way we can make this more challenging, fingertips come to temples. So if you're feeling good with that balance, you can add that option on, making sure you're braced through that belly. And maybe adding a rotation at the bottom of your next one. So a little rotation to the right, back through center, and press through that right heel to rise. So you should be feeling that in that right hamstring now. As you go for that rotation, making sure your hips are staying square to the front of the room. And that rotation is just from the belly button up. If you'd like it, for your last few reps, you can add in that heel lift, just as an option. So you've got one rotation to the right and back through center. From here, that right heel peels off the floor and lowers. Don't know if you can see me shake on camera, but I am. And then we dig all the way to the top. So your full combo, one rotation, heel lift and lower, and then press through that heel to rise. So if you need it here, hands can come back down to your hips. Remember 2 fingers on that foot bar if you need them as well. Give me 3 more reps here. Make these the best yet. Get a little lower. Whew. Good job. Dig through that heel. 2 more. Hips are nice and square. Ooh. Good job. And then we're going to come into our final rep. And then let's take a little breather before we do our finisher. All the way to the top. Nice job. So I'm going to take a little step out for those feet. You might want to take a little massage out for that hamstring or whatever you need. And then once you've had that little breather, let's find that start position. Remember, foot bar comes up if you did want 2 fingers just to balance. Hands to hips more supportive, fingertips to temples harder. Elbows are wide if you're going for that fingertips option. And then let's sink down, find that lunge. So before we start to move, double check that knee is above ankle, bracing through that belly, and then go for that rotation to the right and back through center. 4 more. Digging through that right heel, nice and tense through that right hamstring. 3, 2, give me 1 more rotation, come back through center, we pause, right heel lifts and lowers for 5. Woo! Otherwise just holding. 4, 3, 4, 2. I've got the Pilates shakes hard out. Hold this last one. If there's anything left in the tank, we pulse down and down. Get that heel a little higher for 3, 4, 2, and on 1. Oh, come all the way to the top. You can bring that right leg out in front of you. Step your bum down to your heel. And take a gentle stretch here, making sure you've got one hand on that solid platform or your foot bar, just to make sure that carriage doesn't slide too far away. Oh, a couple of deep breaths in and out. You're doing amazing. We've got one last little inner thigh exercise to go. Maybe a little finisher, and then we are done. So we're going to stay on no springs unless you did want your light spring, that one yellow spring, as a slightly more supportive option for those inner thighs. Grab those dumbbells if you used them, and then you're going to come same side, so right side of your carriage, but you're facing your machine now. Your right knee is going to carefully come to that solid platform first. Drop those dumbbells down. Bring your left knee to that moving carriage. Moving super carefully here. And then bring those dumbbells with you as you come to your high kneel. So dumbbells to collarbones. And then on your inhale, keeping your weight even, we slide that carriage away. And exhale, engage through those inner thighs, draw that carriage in. So it can be a really nice slow movement. Particularly if, like me, you're a little bit shaky from the last side. So keeping that tailbone scooped under. We're not letting that bum stick out. On your next one, we hold. Can we press those dumbbells if you're using them overhead? Squeeze them together. You're going to go for that one tricep extension behind the base of your skull. Return those dumbbells and then squeeze that carriage back in. Slide that carriage away. Press those dumbbells overhead. Elbows stay narrow as we tricep extension down and up. Dumbbells to collarbone. And then squeeze that carriage in. Now we'll keep this a nice short set because we have already done inner thighs on the other side. Can you just give me 3 more reps? Slide that carriage out. Dumbbells overhead. Elbows nice and close to your ears as you go for that tricep extension. And then dumbbells return, carriage returns. 2 more. Scoot that tailbone under. 1 more, make it a goodie. And all the way in. Quick little reset. Pop those dumbbells down for quick seconds. And then we're going to go straight into our finisher, last push for those inner thighs, right? So high kneel. Dumbbells to collarbones. Remember, being in control of that carriage, we find our end range or a position that we can hold. You're going to press those dumbbells overhead, and then keeping that carriage nice and still, you're just going to go for your triceps. Dumbbells behind the base of your skull, and then press those dumbbells overhead. Nice. Press, and press for 4. For 3, for 2, give me 1 more, then you're going to bring those dumbbells behind the base of your skull, give me a little pulse up an inch with those dumbbells at the same time carriage comes in an inch, dumbbells lower an inch, carriage out an inch, lift and squeeze in, lower and out for 6, for 5, can you get that carriage a little further out each time for 4, for 3, for 2, and on 1, press those dumbbells overhead. Carriage comes all the way in, dumbbells down, and carefully step off the back of your carriage. So again, you can take that nice wide stance, either popping your hands on your carriage, or if you can, maybe all the way down onto the floor, and bending into one knee. And then the next for that little inner thigh stretch. Nice. We just have one last little finisher to go. So you're going to pop on 1 heavy spring, 1 medium spring, and 1 yellow spring, and 1 light spring. So for you, that might be 1 red, 1 blue, and 1 yellow. If you're feeling good, you can leave that light spring off. So just your heavy spring and your medium spring. And then you're going to bring your foot bar back upright. So give it a good nice shake. Make sure it's in position, it's not going to go anywhere. And then we're going to take a little lie down on that machine. Put this over actually. Oh, so head is on that headrest. Popping that headrest down to a flat position. Your heels are going to come to that foot bar. You've got a little gap between your shoulders and the shoulder blocks. Hands are down on your carriage. And then from here, can we exhale, flatten your lower back into that carriage, start to peel that tailbone up off your machine, lift your hips to find your hip bridge, and then inhale, return that spine vertebrae by vertebrae all the way down, tailbone comes down last, and then untuck that pelvis at the bottom so you've got that little gap. So I'll lift my hands to show you. Exhale, flatten that lower back, peel that tailbone off the carriage, and then your spine. And then inhale to slowly peel that spine back down, untucking that pelvis at the bottom. One more just like that. at the top of your next one, we're going to pause in that hip bridge. So exhale, lift those hips, pause. From here, keep those hips lifted. You're going to straighten those legs, slide that carriage out. And then squeeze through those hamstrings to drag that carriage in. Go again. Slide that carriage out, hips stay where they are. And squeeze through the hamstrings. Pull your bum to your heels, shut that carriage. So working through our hamstring curl to finish. So you might have your hands down flat on that carriage as a more supportive option. Or if you're feeling good, you can lift your hands up, reach your fingertips for the ceiling. So this is us to finish. Slide that carriage out on your inhale, and exhale, pull your bum to your heels on your exhale. Nice, keep those hips nice and lifted. Brace through that belly as well. Give me 6 here. Squeezing through the backs of the legs. Keeping those hips lifted for 4. For 3. For 2, so nearly there. On 1, we're going to bring that carriage in. Keep those hips lifted. Last little push for your class. Let's push those hips up and up. So squeezing through the glutes. Squeezing through the glutes. Notice my carriage is in at that stopper, so don't let that carriage leave your stopper. You're going to think about pulling your bum down towards your heels. So active through those hamstrings, keeping that carriage docked. You're here for 5, 4, little pulses, 3, 2, on your last one, pulse those hips up and hold. Squeeze those glutes, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. 5, 4, relax the shoulders. 3, 2, and on 1, peel that spine all the way down. So well done. Take a couple of deep breaths. You can actually stay lying down here. We'll just take a little stretch out for those legs. So hug one knee into your chest, and then the next. And once you've caught your breath just a little bit, you can reach behind you for your large loop. So take them back off those posts. Using one foot on that foot bar to push away, we're going to place our first foot into that large loop, and then using that foot as leverage, we get both feet in those large loops. And then let's start with our leg lowers. So once you've got those feet in your straps, starting with your legs long up towards that ceiling, feet together, tailbone heavy. On our exhale, those heels press down towards those springs, getting a last little bit of work through our lower abs. And then inhale, point those toes to lift those legs back up. Exhale, heels lead down through the center. Inhale, point those toes to lift, keeping that tailbone nice and heavy here. Give me a couple of leg circles. So the next time your feet are up towards that ceiling, you can separate out those feet. Draw a nice big circle down and around, feet meet down by that foot bar. And then inhale to lift up through the center. Exhale down and around. And then inhale up through the center. Nice. So we're keeping our hips evenly weighted on that carriage here. If this doesn't feel good in your hips, just keep coming back to those leg drops. And then let's reverse that circle. So the next time your feet are down towards that foot bar, little out turn with those toes, draw a big circle up and around, and then heels lead down through the center. Give me a couple in this direction. See if you can get a little wider with that circle. Give me one more. And then the next time your feet are up towards that ceiling, hold them there. We're going to reach for our rope, sort of where 2 ropes become 1. And keep that tailbone heavy, but give it a nice little tug down on those ropes, stretching into the backs of those legs, those hamstrings that you just worked so hard. Couple of deep breaths. And then you can take those legs nice and wide if that feels good into your straddle stretch. So stretching through those inner thighs. If it feels more comfortable here, you can find your happy baby instead. So bending those knees in towards your armpits, but keeping those feet wide. So whatever feels better for you in your inner thighs, go for that option. Maybe a little rock from side to side for that lower back. And then to finish our class, let's bring the soles of our feet together. So glue the soles of the feet like you're clapping your hands. Knees out to the sides of the room. We're going to start to lower those heels down towards our pelvis. Maybe they even rest up on that carriage underneath our bum. Those straps can just run tight along your shirt, let your arms fall out to the sides of that carriage. Closing down your eyes and just enjoy a few deep breaths here. So inhale through the nose, feel that belly rise. And exhale through the mouth, feel that body soften. Lengthen out that next inhale. Lengthen out that next exhale. 3 more deep breaths in your own time. Make this your last one. Awesome, guys. You can start to wiggle those toes, wiggle those fingers. Slowly come out of that bind. Large loops away. Take any last stretches that you need in your body. And then that is you done. Well done. You did absolutely amazing. I don't know about you, but I found that really hard. I really hope you can't see the sweat marks on my carriage through the camera. It's kind of gross. But I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like me to do in the next video, any requests. Otherwise, I hope that body is feeling good, and I'll see you next time.